it's budding new, and hope is brightest when it dawns from tears. The rose is sweetest, washed with morning dew, and love is loveliest when it's embalmed in tears. O wilding rose, whom fancy thus endears, I bid your blossoms in my bonnet wave, emblem of hope and love through future years. Thus spoke young Norman, heir of Armandale, what time the sun arose on Venator's broad wave.
Hello, it's CJ in Scotland. Today we arrived at the Edinburgh airport. The flight was pretty okay, but we had a tough landing, but it was okay.
Yeah, then we drove by bus to our hostel because we wanted to visit the Stirling Castle, but it was too late because the castle was already closed. In the evening we had dinner at TJ's and the food tasted delicious.
And Stirling was pretty too.
And that was our first day in
Scotland. And see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Today we're gonna talk about
the second day. So we woke up around 7:30 and then we had breakfast.
7-ish.
Then we drove with the bus about 2 hours, I guess.
And everyone got sick because of the bus.
Everyone was dying.
My name is Antonio, better known as Tony, and I'm 54 years old. I like traveling. I like having contact with people.
And then we went to hike Ben Arthur.
Arthur was actually pretty good.
No, it wasn't.
It was okay, but it was really steep at the end on the top. But we made it to the top.
Yeah.
One top. Because there was another mountain right next to it, but we were so exhausted that we couldn't climb up another one. Our school language trip isn't a language trip, it's a sport trip. A sports trip, and we just made like working out, hiking and climbing up the mountains.
It was exhausting, but in the end, at the top, it had a really beautiful view.
It was worth it,
and it was worth it, and it was really windy too.
about 45 minutes to the open hostel. It was beautiful because there was the sea and I love the sea.
Hi, it's DJ in Scotland day 3. And today we woke up early again, had breakfast, and then we had a boat tour.
Okay, here we see a very nice view of Oban, the city we're currently in.
Do you live here on this island?
Yes, yeah, I've lived here for 11 years.
And how is it to live here?
It's got its good and its bad sides. It's very quiet here, it's very peaceful, but when the ferries aren't working, it's very difficult to get to places, do hospital appointments, and the weather's okay sometimes. There's not too much here, it is very, very quiet. It's more of a tourist island. Usually people stay for the summer season, they work and then they go home wherever that may be, and then they just come back. In the winter, everything usually closes. We stay open, but not too many customers. Just because of the weather, the ferries are disrupted for cancelling.
And how would you say is the community on the island?
It's a fantastic community.
Fantastic?
Yeah,
Oh,
really,
that's great,
really good.
yeah.
Everybody knows everybody as well.
But we saw some seals.
Yeah, and also
It was very windy at the top of the boat. And then we got on the island, and the island was really beautiful.
yeah,
And there were like puffins. I like to
Oh,
call them
they were
puff
so
puff.
cute.
Puff puff is so cute. And I had the wrong shoes because I thought, oh, today we're not hiking.
yeah.
We're not hiking. I'm going to wear my normal running shoes.
we
Were wet.
At the first island, so everyone was like mad because they had like their super cute new shoes on because they thought, oh, it's just a boat tour.
Also haven't told us about the shoe situation, so we thought, yeah, like cute boots are like for the win.
But no, we had to hike up there.
No,
We needed to
climb up
climb
there.
up there. So yeah, and the first island was actually pretty cool. But
was
only because of the puff puffs. That are small birds.
Yeah, like puffins, and they're like small
Puff puffs.
birds, like really beautiful birds, and they're so
So cute. And the second one was the coolest. It was like was made out of stone, right?
Yeah.
And the water was beautiful.
I came to Scotland just to visit, basically, 2005, and I had a friend staying in Oban. They invited me over, like, come to Oban, have a little look, I think you're gonna like it. The vibe over here is different in terms of people are friendly, people are more open, and even if it's a countryside location, they're quite welcoming. So basically Scotland has been very welcoming, and it's been lovely. Like, I've stayed in Oban, lived in Perth, Glasgow, so I did a little tour. When I arrived here, I used to eat quite a lot of burgers and fish and chips, let's go like that. And then I think the food offering more opened in 2006, so just like 7 months after I arrived in Oban. And because all the other places would either be pasta, seafood, but like expensive seafood or pasta. And more filled the gap where you can actually have different kind of food.
Hi, it's CJ in Scotland day 4.
Today we went on another hike.
Yeah,
It was very beautiful.
yeah, we saw some waterfalls again. Then we took the bus to the
Glenfinnan
viaduct to the Harry Potter bridge.
Yeah, Harry Potter
And
bridge.
it was a beautiful experience because
Yeah,
we were both
I was so excited.
Harry Potter fans. Yeah, we were both excited.
Yeah.
And greatest thing is we all bought cows. That are Highland cows.
Animals.
Stuffed animals. We bought stuffed animals like
Like
the
the Highland
cutest.
cows.
So when I'm at home and I look at that cow, I'm always going to think back to Scotland.
Yeah.
This is the 5th day out of 8 of our great journey.
We are now at a new hostel in Glen Nevis. It's a very tiny valley, so there's nothing around.
There are sheep.
And a little
Water thing?
river.
River. Thank you. We think this hostel is the best so far because it's really beautiful and the
Receptionist.
he is really nice. We always drink Diet
And
Coke,
he
and
always-
every time we
Yeah.
go to him, he's like, Diet Coke, I got you. We don't even need to say anything anymore.
So I'm a hostel assistant. I help with the running of this glorious hostel that you guys are very welcome to stay in. My responsibilities range from selling beer, making coffee, to folding bed sheets and chasing away unruly customers who ask loads of questions.
We wake up at 7-ish o'clock. Yeah.
And then we went to Ben Nevis.
I love the mountains of Scotland and I live over the river from Ben Nevis, so it's very, very nice place to live. I lived in the city before I started here for like 16 years or something, so I'm kind of done with too many people in concrete.
Actually really good.
It wasn't
Actually
that
great.
bad.
Just really steep and
Yeah.
just, like stones all the way up. And we just slid and just died.
And we were just dying, but it wasn't that bad. Like the first hike is always going to be traumatic.
We had many breaks
Traumatizing.
up there.
Professor Niemeyer and Professor Berger went with the others to the peak, and Professor Meyer and Professor Schaub went with us to the lake. I think Professor Meyer was dying because we were walking that slow, but yeah, that's all.
I was studying at the university here over this last year, and I work as also like an outdoor instructor guide. So I thought sort of working here kind of links in with the tourism as well.
And what do you enjoy the most about working here?
I think just like the relaxed sort of nature of it and being able to like on my breaks just being able to go outside, walk. We're now still quite in our quiet time, so we're open from April to October, but our busiest months are July and August.
At the middle of the mountain there was like a lake, a really beautiful lake. Just sat there and ate our lunch, just like 5-10 minutes, and then we had to go down.
overall and a lot of tourism. So we want it to be sort of kept for the future generations to come, so everybody can enjoy, like, it's been such a beautiful landscape and having that sort of in touch with nature.
I think it's just something that we've been taught in school from quite a young age, to be considerate of our environment and to protect the beauty of nature that is around us.
There's a lot of divide, I think, with sort of, it depends where you come from, and as well I think your sort of background and your upbringing. So a lot of the city kids that are maybe a bit more underprivileged won't really experience much of the outdoors at all, which is a real shame. And there's a lot of charities now that focus on taking underprivileged groups out into the nature, and it's something as funny as they've never really seen like a bunny rabbit before. I think it's great that people want to come here and experience it, and I love that, and I think it's an amazing place that should be explored, but I just think sometimes there's not enough education and people need a little bit more of respect, I think, for the area, and that, you know, but that just takes time. And it's like I say, it's great. It keeps the town running. It kind of gives people jobs and stuff like that. I think it's great. I just think it needs to be more sustainable. Tourism needs to be. I think at the moment it's very hard, fast, and there's not enough sustainability to keep these places beautiful the way they are. So the record is 1 hour and 24 minutes, but that was made back in the 80s, and the path that it was done on no longer exists.
Okay.
So we built the path that we've done it now because of the erosion from the old path.
Yeah.
You have to create a new path, so we don't think anybody's ever going to beat that record because it was the old path which doesn't exist anymore.
Okay.
It's shorter.
On a busy week where it's nice weather, you get a lot more people wanting to go up and do the hill, and some of them aren't always prepared as well as they should be, so that's when you hear the helicopter going around searching for people. I also have a friend who works in mountain rescue, who gets a lot busier when it's nicer weather. People think, oh, it's just in Nevis, I can do that, no problem, and then end up in some trouble where they need some serious professional help.
Hi, it's CJ in Scotland, day 6, and today we visited the Culloden battlefield. It was really interesting. The guy did a great job. He told us the tactics how to kill someone.
Culloden is often imagined as a battle fought between Scotland and England. It actually isn't. This was a British Civil War with both Scots and Englishmen fighting here on both sides. So what Culloden actually was a big family squabble over who got to sit on the British throne. Now, have we all heard of a woman known as Mary Queen of Scots? Oh, some of you have heard of her? Perfect. Well, it's her great-great-grandchildren are all fighting out over her throne. Because on one side, we have the legitimate royal family, the House of Stuart, who are represented by a man known as King James VII of Scotland and II of England. 60 years before this battle, he was the king. But there's a rebellion against his rule, and he is forced off the throne into exile. And they were replaced on the throne by their German cousins, the House of Hanover, who still rule over the UK to this very day. And the Jacobites are supporters of James who wish to place him back on the throne, taking their name from the Latin for James, Jacobite. Culloden is 60 years after the beginning of the Civil War, and the Jacobites are going to be trying for the fourth and final time to try and restore James and his family to the throne. Now, leading their efforts here at Culloden is a young 25-year-old known as Charles Edward Stuart, born in Prince Charlie. His opponent is his cousin, a man known as William Augustus, Duke of Cumberland, Charles's third cousin and the British King's son. These two men are related. So these two young men are fighting it out over which one of their families gets to sit on the throne. Here in the summer of 1745, he is going to be able to raise an army nearly 13,000 strong. Mostly untrained civilians, not soldiers. And yet, over the next 9 months, this Jacobite army is going to win every single battle. By the time they arrive here on the eve of the Battle of Culloden, they have won every single fight. Yet, they're losing the war. Because going up against the superior resources of the British state is proving too difficult for them, and the British state is slowly warring them down in a war of attrition. So after 9 months of fighting, all the Jacobites have left, their last major town, is Inverness. They lose it. Army has to take it from them. The British army moved the town of Nairn, 12 miles to your left and east, set up the night. The Jacobites have to find somewhere but allows them to block the road. Which brings us to Culloden, the battlefield here on your right. Have a look at it, guys. Tell me, what do you see up there? Because Culloden is a marsh, a bog, but ankle to knee-deep, mucky, marshy water. So you add all this together then, do we think this is a good place to fight on? No, bad place to fight. So that then begs the question, why? What happened? Why did the Jacobites end up fighting here? Well, it was never by choice. What the Jacobites wanted to do the night before the battle was launch a surprise attack. Attack the British army in the air while still asleep. So they're going to do a 12-mile march in the night to try and attack and surprise the British army still asleep. That's a daring plan, but Nairn's 12 miles away. And you're not doing this march in daylight, you're going in the pitch black. No torchlight, nothing. And you're doing it in a thunderstorm. And you're not doing it on Monday Road. You're going cross country. That's 12 miles in the Scottish Highlands cross country. So through thick, dense forests, over rivers, over hills, 6,000 men in the pitch black and in a thunderstorm. How do you think this went? Was horribly wrong. The Jacobite army gets lost, scattered, confused, spread out in all 4 directions. Nobody makes it and they end up turning back and marching 11 miles all the way back here. It's 22 miles altogether, on empty stomachs, thick dense forest in the pitch black, in the middle of a thunderstorm, all for the grand achievement of nothing. So, if you're a Jacobite, how are you feeling right now? Imagine if you guys had to walk here today and then walk all the way back while it was raining. How would you be feeling? Would you want to fight afterwards? No, of course not. But fight you're going to have to, because the Jacobites are getting chased. The British Army is now up, on the move, and it's falling right behind them. They're going to catch the Jacobites who are disorganized and spread out here. The Jacobites have to turn and fight, and it's going to have to be here on this battlefield. The problem is, though, the marsh. They've no idea how deep it is. The fight they're going to have to. You are now standing on the British Army's front line. Down this path of red flags, or a quarter or so of a mile, stretches the front line, past the road, across the trees. Now, there's a second line backed by the museum. Two lines altogether, about 7,000 men. So the Jacobites are about 500 meters away. This entire field on the day of the battle is a marsh, it is a bog, it is a swamp. So that's what you're going to have to run through if you're a Jacobite to attack. Remember, you've had no sleep, you've had no food for nearly 2 days. How are you going to get across the field? A long time. So about 10 minutes. Well, the British Army you are running towards, they can fire their muskets once every 18 seconds. 3 times a minute. And you think you're going to take about 10 minutes to get across the field? It's a lot of fire coming your way. But some of you Jacobites are still going to make it across the field. And you're going to unleash your secret tactic, the Highland Charge. The Highland Charge is a devastating shock tactic that's run you Jacobites every single battle so far. These are our 2 British soldiers today. At the end of these are going to be their muskets. You're going to use your imaginations a little bit here. On the end of their muskets here is a blade, a knife known as a bayonet, used for self-defense. So I have to try and get past that bayonet so I can kill them. What I'm going to use as a Highlander is my sword and my shield. So I'm coming in low, like this. So what are they probably watching? Where's the danger? The sword, exactly. What they can't see is what's hidden behind my shield, which is my dagger, my dirk, small blade. So they're going to try to stab me with the bayonet. I'm going to block it with my targe. Right. I slice their throat with dirt. They both fall down dead. I use my sword. I fall through and I cut down the them behind me. It's 4 men, 1 woman. So, what the British soldiers have to do here at Culloden is they're going to have to use the new tactics. Because they've been taught how to beat the Highland Charge. And maybe you guys can help your friends out. Because did you spot a weakness? Which again? Did I go for my swing? Wide open. Completely exposed. So what you guys are going to do is point your bayonets at me again. This time you're going to angle them this way. So you are now covering me. Watch what happens this time. When I run in to cut her down, right, save your life. The British Army also uses cannons here at Culloden and uses something known as caster shot. What's that? Basically a giant shotgun, which every 30 seconds will spray out from cannons and cut them out 20 men at a time. Well, that's all of you just gone in 1 shot. You're probably not going to break through, you're probably going to get killed and tossed back into the marsh. So using this new terrain, using the marsh, using the new bayonet tactics, just 2 minutes will kill nearly 700 Jacobites. Now, the Jacobites are mostly Highlanders, which are family units. There are fathers and sons, brothers, uncles, nephews, grandfathers, all fighting here together. So imagine you were here with your entire family, and you just seen them and 700 other people just killed all around you just like that. Are you going to stay here to fight? You're going to run. You're going to flee back through this marsh. Now, as you're retreating through the marsh, you're going to find out that nightmare's going to get even worse. Because while this battle has been going on, British horsemen, cavalrymen, have been flanking around the battlefield, bypassing the marsh. As the Jacobites begin to retreat, the cavalry is there to meet them. They're going to chase 5 miles to Inverness, cutting down every and any man able to catch. So after nearly just 40 minutes of fighting, nearly 2,000 Jacobites have just been killed, thus ending the Battle of Culloden. Now after the battle, and 2,000 Jacobites dead and dying and still lying on the field, the British Army makes its way across and is given special orders. The British Army is told to show no mercy, no quarter, and no survivors. Any Jacobite found throughout the field need not be held. Shot or bayonet on the spot. The field is then sealed off for the next 3 days. Perimeter established around it. Guards. No one is allowed on, no one is allowed off. to make sure any wounded Jacobites who were missed died either from their wounds or from exposure to the elements. Very few Jacobites surviving. The bodies are then gathered up and buried in mass graves. Nearly 100 to 200 people are buried in each of the mounds you can see around us. And that is not just men, that also includes women and children. The youngest Jacobite who fought here at Culloden was a mere 12 years old. Many of the women, these are known as camp followers. These are wives, girlfriends, families who've been following the Jacobites around during rebellion and were unfortunate enough to get caught up in the fighting. This is a memorial cairn, built in the 1880s and 140 after battle by the local landowner, Duncan Forbes. He has this built to honour and remember all the fallen Jacobites. At the same time, he will have the cairn headstones where it put up around us. You may have noticed on the headstones there is writing, names. These are names of some of the Highland clans who fought here. Clan Fraser, Clan MacDonald, Clan Stewart, Clan Cameron. Names of the clans who fought here. Now this little building, this is Laniac Cottage, used as a field hospital of the British Army for their wounded soldiers. It gives you a good idea of how Highland people used to live. Because aside from the electricity, this is pretty much how it would have been. Got a nice timber for the roof, thatched roof on top, some nice stone for your middle layer. You'll note this just behind me here, this is peat. This is taken from the marsh and made into nice thick material to act as insulation and provide heating for the house. You'd live at one end, you yourself and your family, up to 12 kids at a time, and your farm animals live at this end of the house. You'd all be crammed inside this small little cottage. Now in the aftermath of the battle, Highland culture, so the bagpipes, tartan, kilts, all of this was heavily suppressed and banned. It was made illegal, along with the language of the Highland people Gaelic. Now Gaelic wasn't outright banned, but it was heavily suppressed and restricted. So why did this happen? Well, the Highlanders had always been the backbone of any Jacobite rebellion, the core. So anyway, the best way to remove that core and thus deal with the Jacobite threat once and for all is to remove the Highlanders. So the British Army was going to move into the hills and carry out a pacification campaign for about 10 years, which will see many horrific atrocities committed against the Highland people. Now today, the Highlands is one of the most sparsely populated places on the planet because of the Highland clearances, and of 5 million Scots, only 20,000 of us still speak Gaelic as a first language. That is a result of Culloden, consequences of this rebellion. Now while the bans themselves will eventually be lifted in time by the 1800s, and Highland culture today is very much celebrated as an image of a Scotsman, the Highland people themselves are not entirely here anymore. So where are they? Well, the world's gain was the Highlands' loss. Because the Highland people during the clearances were forced out to the world, hanging out to the places like America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia and South Africa. And they play a massive role in the development of those countries into the fully fledged states we now know today. In fact, today, there are more people out with Scotland who can claim descent from a Highlander than actually living in Scotland. Such is the impact that the Highland diaspora has all across the planet, all because of what happened on this battlefield all those years ago.
I'm actually from Inverness, born and bred in Inverness. I actually grew up just along the street here. It has grown a lot in the last 30-40 years. It was a town, an auction mart where it was not unusual to see sheep and cattle being driven down the high street. And I'm not that old, it's not 100 years ago, but it was like a market town. It always had been a tourist town.
Afterwards, we went to the Highland House of Fraser. Yeah. There we saw how traditional kilts were made.
A lot of people wear tartan because it's such a strong identity for Scottish heritage. So people still do wear them for formal occasions. So people attending weddings or kind of dinner, and they have links to clans, particular clans. So Clan Grant or Clan Macpherson just down the road, they have their own specific tartan pattern, and so it's a real source of pride for a lot of people as wearing tartan.
We're possibly viewed around the world as very like we all wear kilts. And as you see, kilt is the national dress, but we don't all wear kilts. When I was younger, you did see more people like wearing a kilt going to they might be a lawyer or working in an office, and they might wear a kilt and jacket.
And people all over the world wear tartan as well, so you get a lot of people who have moved over to America or Canada or all over the world who have Scottish roots and history, and so the wearing of tartan for them is very important.
And then we went to the Highland Folk Museum. It was like a really wide area about how the Falkland people lived, and they were like it was an open museum, like in the rebuilt houses of the people and how they lived back then, and how was the school, and like an old telephone cell and stuff like this.
Our collection started in the 1920s and 1930s by a woman called Isabel Grant. So she travelled around the Highlands and the Islands collecting a lot of material that otherwise would have fallen apart, like wooden objects and things from crops and farms. I think this is something for everyone. I think being an open-air museum, it's a whole day out, you know, it's fantastic, and from kids to parents to grandparents, you know, there's, for the older generations, a lot that they can kind of reminisce about and how things were done in the past and what they might remember from their grandparents or parents themselves.
So I studied Rural Recreation and Tourism Management, and I secured a job at the National Park Gateway Centre, which was at the bottom of Loch Lomond. So I worked there for 18 years, and then I secured this role here as the manager of the Information Centre here in Stirling 2 years ago. So it's coming up to my 2-year anniversary here, but it's a great place to work.
It's really nice, Stirling, but it's very small, not many shops, not many things, but it's a really nice kind of historic place.
If you come out of here, turn left, you'll see the Church of the Holy Rood, and you'll see a building called Mars Walk, which is just a short distance from here. And he used some of the stone from Cambus Kenneth Abbey to build the castle, but Bonnie Prince Charlie and the Jacobite army invaded Stirling quite a long time ago, and they blew the roof off of it. And you can still see all the evidence of all these battles and things happening here. And if you look at the back of the church, you'll see all the musket holes from the Jacobites were here also. And there's a small rock in the cemetery, and it's a really fantastic viewpoint. So that's maybe one of my favourite places because you get a view of the castle and you're looking across the fossets. This is the old part of town, so there's so much history here. This is where it all happened, and that's what makes this part of Stirling so unique.
And we visited the Stirling Castle, because we didn't do it on our first day, and it's where Mary Stuart lived, and
we were so excited because we have watched Rain before.
Yeah, and it's the story of Mary Stuart, and I love the series.
And we were like the little girls go, oh my god, Mary Stuart was here! And it was
beautiful.
The oldest part is around 1360. This palace here was finished in 1543. The Great Hall was finished in around 1503. So each part has different generations that was built in. The castle that was here in the time of Bruce and Wallace and such in the 14th century was destroyed and then rebuilt by his grands.
So we have distillery, we've got axe throwing if you want to do different activities, we have escape rooms, we've got a really fantastic art gallery museum, so there's lots of amazing places around Stirling that are hidden gems. We quite often, they're not so hidden anymore because we tell people about them. But there's lots of amazing places. One of the nicest hidden gems is we have lots of art galleries and museums. You've got King's Park, but over here we've got Cambus Kenneth Abbey, which is a really lovely walk along the riverside. And at particular times of year, like just the blossoms just passed, there's lots of nice blossom trees that come out and make it really quite special to walk along there. This just now, the bluebells have just come out, so there's lots of places in Loch Lomond and Trossachs National Park where the bluebells are out and people enjoy going for a walk.
The highlight of the day was the William Wallace Monument, I think it's called. Yeah. But the way up was very
exhausting.
but the view on the top was very beautiful.
You're Scottish?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Why do you think people come to Scotland?
Beauty of the nature, the friendliness of the locals.
I really like the people are really chill and are really helpful.
I guess Scotland has something for everybody, be it a Harry Potter fan or an outdoors enthusiast.
I love the lochs and the mountains, the beautiful scenery and the people. I think they're very friendly and funny, with such a good sense of humour.
I love the quality of life up here.
Really beautiful. It has a really pretty landscape, and the people are.
I love the
really
people.
Nice.
They're much nicer than
They're
Austria.
so nice.
You see, sometimes a lot of my job, rather than answering questions, is asking questions. Because I could tell you what I like, but our job is to find out what you would like. Because I could say, I like visiting castles, and I could tell you 20 castles to visit. And you might think, 8 castles, I just want to see scenery.
Do you have any favorite traditions in Scotland?
Yes, Burns Night, celebrating the poet Robert Burns.
25th of January.
Go into the library and get yourself a book, Robert Burns poems, and you'll see why he's celebrated all over the world. Because his poems were all about the working man and the farmers and all the rest. And it was everything he wrote is true here, and it's the same all over the world.
That's when you have haggis on the 25th of January. You may be better not knowing what it's made from.
Yeah, I love ceilidh dancing, so like ceilidhs and things, I love them, so anytime there's one on, especially up here, there's quite a lot that go on.
And what do you think about the weather?
It's Scotland, as I can say. We've had a lovely day the day, but it could be pouring rain in the morning.
I think it's just being prepared for it. Like we always say, you get 4 seasons in one day here. So, you know, it can be sunny in the morning and by the afternoon you can have like a torrential rainfall. So I think it's, if I'm going out for the day, I always take a waterproof with me, and I also have sun cream in my bag because you never know what's going to happen.
We get a tiny percentage of people who've maybe had a bad experience. They tell us about your bad experience. I can't always sort it. Even if I listen, sometimes it'll make you feel better. And then we can sort of say, okay, let's try and get your holiday back on track.
One of the things from Scotland is, for example, if you have someone from Dundee and someone from Edinburgh, if the person from Dundee starts speaking the normal way that he speaks in Scottish, the other person from Edinburgh will not understand it. You'll have to say, well, slow down. Slow down, because I can't get what you're saying. And this is between 2 Scots. So a foreigner even has more issues.
It took me 3 months to try to understand them properly, to keep a level of conversation. But after, when you fine tune your ears, like you get them.
So it's Gaelic, which is like sort of the traditional language of Scotland, so it's spoken of the sort of the people of the Highlands and the Islands. Sadly, it's kind of a dying language. Not many people speak it anymore. I don't speak it myself, but I think they're trying to reintroduce it more. They're pushing for it to be taught more.
Mathin va is good morning, and then usually the response you would get from that is Kimera how, which is like, I'm fine.
I don't speak Gaelic, but my son is learning Gaelic, so there's a re-emergence of Gaelic and a sort of appreciation of our culture. Although it's not an everyday language in this part of the world, we still feel connected to it.
Yeah. Afterwards, we went to McDonald's.
Yeah, and we had a caramel frappuccino, but Manuel had a cheeseburger, and he took 1 bite, and then he got attacked by a seagull, and his burger. Yeah,
all of the burger
fell on the ground.
Yeah,
it was
the
so
whole burger
funny.
We laughed the whole time, and
He was
Manuel
so
was
pissed.
so pissed at us because he just wanted to eat. He was hungry, and now his burger's
He
on the
was
ground.
angry.
He was angry, yeah. And we just kept laughing and laughing, and we had our frappuccino and his burger, yeah.